Welcome to Real Truth Real Quick. My name is Rick Smith. I'm here with Todd Wagner.
Hello, Rick.
Hello, Todd. So today we're talking about retirement. What is a biblical perspective on saving for retirement? How big should my nest egg be?
Yeah, all right, good. Let's just start with, because how big is the nest egg is a good question, but let's make sure we even get a biblical view of retirement as we move towards that. Okay, so when people say retirement, what do you think comes to most people's minds?
Well, when I get 65, I'm going to get a Watermark watch, and then I'm going to go to the lake, and that's it.
Watermark. Okay, and that's the second part is the part we want to get after a little bit. That go to the lake piece, where that there's some moment where I can just kind of make it all about me. We never make it all about us. Colossians 3:23 and 24 says that, right? It says, whatever you do your work heartily unto the Lord and not unto men. And then verse 24 specifically is the one that says, knowing it's from the Lord that you will receive your reward. Okay? And it's not, reward is not, I get to go to the lake, get to play more golf. Okay? Our reward doesn't come when we're 65 or when we make our number when we're 40. Our reward is going to come when we meet and stand before the Lord, because everything we do, even use our latter years, for the glory of Christ, okay? And so listen to that verse 24 again. It says, it's from the Lord that you will receive the reward of the inheritance. And so we want to make sure that whatever we do, with whatever we have, is to live for that end and that goal. So, all right, Todd, what about later in my life? I would love to be at a place where I could serve the Lord more fully. There's going to be a day when I'm not going to have the same earning power, maybe through physical strength or something else. And what I would say is, hey, if you get to a place where you've made enough money, where you don't need more money, then what you should do is not increase your standard of living, but increase your standard of giving. And not just in terms of the checks you write, but maybe the time you steward. All right? And so you've got to think ahead. And you've got to make sure that, A, I won't be able to earn later, or I've earned enough that now I can be on mission all the time. Now, this is not to say that work is not mission. All right? There's a real truth real quick out there about work as worship. All right, we should make sure that we have that resource there if we haven't done one yet. I can't even remember. But what I would say is that we don't want to say that I can't really be on mission while I'm at work. That's not the case. Your work is your current mission. But Proverbs 6 says this. It says, go to the ant, O sluggard, and observe, which having no chief, officer, or ruler, okay, it's busy. And what's it busy doing? Preparing her food in the summer and gathering later the provision for the harvest. Because there's going to be a day when the ant can't gather. And so during the time of harvesting, it's going to gather from the harvest, so later it has food and provision. There's a principle there for us, okay, that it's okay to gather right now so I have provision later when I can't gather. But listen, most people are trying to develop a nest egg so that they can live the way they want to live and do what they want to do later. If what you want to do later is not heartily for the Lord, then you are preparing to sin. Okay? If you are not thinking about the fact that later I will have need that I won't be able to work for, that's irresponsible. And I would call that unwise. And if we're people who know Christ and live in wisdom, then that would be, in a sense, a sin. So what do we do? How much is enough? I don't know. What we tell people all the time, you better pray continually, study the scriptures. What I do know is that Jesus calls two people a fool in the Bible. Number one is the guy that listens to him and doesn't apply what he hears. The other guy he calls a fool is a guy that had more than he could currently use. And so what did he do? He built more barns. And then because he had all this stuff stored up for later, he thought he didn't need God. And so he said, hey, I've got many days, and so I'm going to tell my soul to just eat, drink, and be merry and rest. And then he says that very night his soul was required of him. And Jesus said, you fool, you don't know how long you're going to be here. And that guy's mistake was that he wasn't living for Christ. He was living to make his life comfortable and easy. So if that's your goal, to ever retire from full devotion, you've got a problem there. Okay? If you're not going to do things now to prepare for the time when you can't gather, then that's probably not exceedingly wise. And so what I would do is be very careful that I don't try and find a number that makes me not need God. We always need God. Okay? And when you start to really think, well, how much is enough? That's the question we need to ask ourselves today, not just at retirement.
Well, I've heard you say kind of a pigtail on this one. I've heard you talk about college before. How does college factor in saving for your kids' college in the future?
Yeah, that is a good one to do another real truth real quick on. We'll do that so that when people watch this, they can go there. But let me just say this. I'm not a big fan of just assuming that that kids have as a birthright their parents pay for college. But there's a Proverbs 6 principle, which is if you've got something coming in the future, okay, that you need, make sure that you do what you can do today for that something in the future. But you better not make some assumptions that drive that. Again, so in this whole issue, Rick, on the 401k or the 401(b), depending if you're a nonprofit or profit, what I would say is you need to steward all your money, okay, so that you're responsibly on mission. And I would say that the goal of saving money today is to make you more effective on mission later, okay? So let's not store it more than we're going to need later. Okay, and let's not define our need by our ability to be comfortable and do whatever we want to do. Christians should never work to get to the place where they can do whatever they want to do. They should work to do whatever they do heartily unto the Lord, not unto men.
Am I still going to get a watch? Watermark watch? All right. Well, hey, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to check back on that college one because it's going to be a good one. And we'll see you next week on another episode of Real Truth Real Quick.